Hello and welcome to Undrafted, a Dynasty game theory podcast brought to you by the Undroppables. I am your host, Scott Belanger, aka Jax Falcone. You can find me on Twitter at Dino Game Theory. This is episode number 218. Wow, let's roll. And I'm going to get right to it. I've got one of my favorite people in the whole world, really, Mr. Shane Manila. Y'all know Shane. First, I'm just going to bring you right out, Shane, because there's no point in waiting. I'll tell everybody where you're from and all that, but I just am excited to have you out here. We are like kindred spirits. I can remember, Shane, I'll tell you this. When I was first getting into the space, I would listen to all these podcasts before I even had a show, before I did anything, and I was like, some people I didn't like, some people I liked, some people I looked up to. But the one person in this, in the space that I was like, I just want to talk to that motherfucker was Shane Manila. And I get to do so for the second time on this program today. So welcome, Shane.
Dude, I appreciate that. I'm excited to be on. We definitely tried to make this happen repeatedly. It's hard. It's hard with our, we're on different sides of the what do you call that? The country. There you go.
Yeah.
Different sides of the country. But no, dude, I'm so excited to be here. I really am.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited to have you here. We are old Dynasty dogs, right? I mean, I talk all the time. Like I have all sorts of different, guests on this program, college football experts and, all sorts of people, different big names, small name. It doesn't matter. Like some people are kind of into Dynasty, play a little. Others are like super, super real Dynasty people. You're one of the real OGs of actually playing the game of Dynasty. You bring a little bit of a different angle. And I've always appreciated that. I love playing in leagues with you. I love your aggression. I've got my homie CMFK plays a lot like you, like just really unafraid to pull any sort of trigger at any time if you think it's best for you. I've seen you do things as I've watched you play the game of Dynasty in leagues that I'm in with you where I'm like, I'm not sure what the hell he's doing here. And then boom, boom. Well, this is respect because then boom, boom, boom. And then later on, I'm like, damn, that was an interesting line over the course of the season where all of a sudden now he's competing for a championship. That's really, really cool. I've never taken that path. And I think that's really neat to learn from each other. I would say you're certainly doing that with some of your co-hosts like Scott Connor, where you learn from each other. But That's just one of the things I love about you.
Look, there's a 1 in 12, 1 in 14, 1 in 16 chance that you are going to win. You already have slim odds. So I am more willing to go, I will take this to the extreme rather than playing in the middles. And I've said it for years. I'd rather be last than eighth. Right. I'd rather be last than seventh. I haven't made the playoffs. Now, I still want to make the playoffs. This is one thing that I've adjusted a little bit. I used to be like, I don't even want to get in the playoffs if I'm at 6 seed. I've seen it too many times now where the 6 seeds got in and somehow won it. In your league last year, I should have destroyed whoever I played. But guess what? He won that week. And then guess what? He came out the next week, won again. Doesn't matter if he was the best team. He was the best team those 2 weeks. That's all that matters. I think a little differently. I look at fantasy football trades and rosters like puzzles. I can move pieces around. I'm always willing to shift, right? Like roster reconstruction is like, all right, well, let me take these assets that are in my running back where I'm heavy. What can I do with that? Can I take that and make that a wide receiver and a pick? And then what can I do with that pick and the other wide receiver that that I already have on my team? So it's just moving parts. It's literally just all moving parts to me.
Yes, I think that's brilliant, right? Because sometimes you're like, I shouldn't trade wide receiver X for this package because this package, is going to, be worth less or something like that. But then when you look, you're like, I have wide receiver X and the equivalent to wide receiver X just sitting on my bench. Either one of them could be starting, but I have to sit one of them. So maybe by making this trade, even though I'm ceding a little bit of value, I'm actually making my team better, which is better because now you're playing the puzzle pieces rather than just the value game. And those are some of the things that I think, especially sometimes guys like me a little bit who so preach the value, right? Just always be, I always say I said it on the show last night on the Underground, I was like, if you are volume trading over the course of a year or two and you are losing value on that volume, you're in trouble. You're going
Yeah.
to lose.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your league. So in volume trades, just the general trades that happen all day long, you need to be at least even or better on those trades so that you're gaining value in the long term. And then what you try to do is when you're making a purchase, I don't know, maybe I use the example of Malik Neighbors. You're like, I'm going to go get myself Malik Neighbors or something like that. Don't be afraid to overpay, because now you've used some of that value to now just get what you guys affectionately refer to as a hammer. And depending on what kind of league it is, hammers sometimes are more valuable than anything. Shallower leagues, right? Where there's fewer starting roles.
Yeah.
We play in that 14 by 12, a little bit different there, right?
Yeah.
It's
a little different.
A little different. So
I had legitimate starts from Matt Collins is my favorite one that I've had starts from where I was like, hey, that actually worked out. And then last year I had Johnny Smith, and I had him on my roster for like 3 years. And last year was the first time that it was like, oh, well, this dude's absolutely smashing.
Let's
awesome.
put him in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he wasn't in my tight end. He was in my flex.
Yes.
Yeah. Was it 14 by 12? Is that what it is?
Something like that. I think it's 14-12.
Yeah, you definitely have to adjust, right? Like, it's cool to have hammers, right? But you can't sacrifice what it takes to have multiple ones of those, right? You can get there almost by happenstance, by accident, if you trade with bad players. But unfortunately, it's a league of, I don't want to say analysts are smarter than everyone. It just happens to be a group of sharp analysts, really sharp, right? Yeah. These aren't just... whatever.
Right.
These aren't stupid people. These are really smart people, like JJ Zacharyson, right? He can run laps around me. Pat Fitzmaurice. You know what I mean?
Justin Boone obviously is so smart.
One of the best rankers in the country.
Scott Connor is obviously a tremendous Dynasty player. It's like, then you have Danny Kelly, who is so active and brilliant, and just, it's like just over and over. Exactly. When you have that type of situation, you're right. And you kind of have to take a little bit of zig when they zag, because otherwise everybody's going the same direction, but yeah, that's a unique league. I really love it. It's a test your metal league for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the class. I think, it's funny because I'm at the point now where I don't have class fatigue, but I wonder if some of the viewers and listeners do. I'm not really sure. I don't think so. Do you?
I always have a problem with this, right? Because we're degenerates. So our mindset is from the degenerate landscape. I am done with rookie drafts. I have no rookie drafts left. Not a freaking one. But there are people out there that still have rookie drafts, and it does hold value to them to talk about it. And another thing I've learned along the way is just because something doesn't apply to you specifically. So we were talking about, drafts. Your drafts are already over. You're still talking about the players, right? And you're learning things about the players. That's the same reason I would read like mailbags, and there's some trade I don't care about, but I'd still read about it because I'd go, you know what? There might be something in there that speaks to me about it. So even if I don't think people are fatigued from the class, because I haven't seen that. You know what I mean? We're now we have entered the holy shit, did you see Travis Hunter? He can't run a route phase.
Yes.
Which, we knew we were going to get there every year. And
remember it's like the Jamar Chase doesn't like to catch the ball because it doesn't have the little white stripe on it.
Yes.
In college, you remember?
He's a big White Stripes fan, Jack White, Meg.
And without that white stripe, I'm not so sure he's ever going to make it. I mean,
So I remember, and this is where I jumped the gun. I don't know if everyone remembers, right around that time, his ex or whatever she was came out and accused him of things. And I immediately was like, I'm selling this dude. I'm selling him. I'm not putting up with this. Nothing ever came of it. So obviously nothing's ever happened since. So clearly it was just nonsense.
Right.
And there's still like several leagues that I probably wish that every league I moved them in. Obviously you wish you still had Jamar Chase, but I jumped the gun on that one a little bit.
I think I bought Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, in like a second or something. It was ridiculous after that like little snafu. And I bought him also after Olave's rookie year for Olave in a first. I mean, anytime you can buy these hammers, you really want to do it. I mean, it never seems to be. Sometimes the price will feel like too much when you do it, but in hindsight, it almost never does. You're never like, dude, can you believe how much I had to pay for Josh Allen? It's like, well, I have Josh Allen. I'm
and that's right. And that's the thing. And look, obviously I'm not saying go all out and spend absolutely everything you have, but you have to remember the type of asset you have. Like it's appreciating. Malik Neighbors, you could almost not pay too much for him because one, you have him on your roster and you can cash out anytime over the next, I don't know, 4 years probably, right? It's like
Easily. Yep.
having money in the bank, which you can't say about a lot of players on your roster. You know, Aaron Rodgers, you try to move him at all last year, not very helpful. Cooper Cup,
Impossible.
no, couldn't do it. But a 22-year-old wide receiver that just popped off in his rookie season, or a 23-year-old wide receiver that smashed in his second year, like JSN, even though I dogged him after his rookie year, that's
Yeah.
money in the bank. Like that's always something. Like if shit goes terrible for your team, you can cash them out and reset.
You mentioned Jonnu popping off. We play in a lot of tight end premiums. I think this is probably a little bit more of a process question for me because, I can remember literally belittling and making fun of all the Kyle Pitts 101 truthers who were saying, Kyle Pitts should be the 101 even in super flex leagues. And I remember literally saying specifically, Kyle Pitts is the greatest tight end prospect we may have ever seen, but he's still not worth an early first round pick. It's like these two things were mutually exclusive for me. And even Brock Bowers, I missed a little, although I did happily pick him as he was falling to me in the mid to obviously I got him in the late first and one or two spots, but so I was not anti Bowers because I thought he was a different kind of cat. But by and large, for the forever, I've been fading tight end. How have you been playing the tight end positions in your draft this year? Like, how did you play it? Did you reach or take Loveland and Warren at ADP, and who'd you have ahead?
So entering the draft, I had Loveland ahead. And he pulled ahead. It was like a horse race. Like he just nudged past
Me too,
Warren
by the way.
before the draft. And then after the draft, I went, I don't know about that. Now it's Warren. The thing is, I didn't need to, and I play in a ton of tight end premium leagues, like 2.0. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
heavy ones. I didn't draft either of them before any of the running backs.
Right.
Maybe before Ibuka. You know what I mean? I think I ended up with 3 or 4 Tyler Warrens and 1 Loveland. And the Loveland I had was actually
How many leagues is that, Shane, if you don't mind me?
29.
Okay.
29, I think.
Yeah, I'm in like
20,
20,
like
so
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So Warren's like 3% of my leagues. Or
Okay.
no, excuse me. That's not math. He's
That's
in
not
3.
math.
I have him in 3 of my leagues, which is
Yes.
11%.
We'll let them do all the math.
Right.
Let them. That's roughly 10%, but we're not gonna pull back the curtain on the math yet.
Loveland just in the 1, and I wasn't going out of my way to draft them. Like I said, I think I drafted Warren over Ibuka once, but in every other occasion, the running backs were gone, and Ibuka was probably gone.
Yeah, I am very similar to that. Let me look it up actually because I have it right here. Hold on. I am I'm in like 20, but I'm not done on my drafts yet. I do have a couple that are still going. I have 1 Loveland and 1 Warren, and I'm probably 15 to 16 drafts in. And I took Loveland at the 206 and Warren at the 204. So, where I got them, I was like, fine, if you're gonna fade them to me, I'll take them. But you know who I have a ton of? Terrence Ferguson. I have a ton of Harold Fannin. I have a ton of Elijah Arroyo.
There you go. So Arroyo, first of all, I went to the Senior Bowl and fell in love with him, as everyone did that was down there. Everyone tell you he was different. You know what I mean? The dude is just absolutely blazing, and dude's got ups, man. That dude can jump. So I got a ton of Arroyo too because he fell. I got not a lot of Fannin. I wish I had a little more Fannin, to be honest with you. Just
Fannin was so cheap, man. He sometimes fall to the late third, early fourth, and it's like, what are we doing? I mean, I get it. Look, I'm smashing running backs through that zone, but for me, I played the tight end situation this way. I'm not taking them over any of the running backs. I was not taking them over Ibuka. And I really didn't take him above Higgins or Burden. If I was in that, unless it was serious tight end premium, but in those situations, they were gone anyway when I had those early seconds. So for me, it was like, I'm ready in and around Jackson Dart. But for me, it's like, dude, Jackson Dart is more valuable than these tight ends. I mean, the only way these tight ends increase in value past, a starting quarterback, presuming that Jackson Dart eventually is given the starting opportunity, which of course he's going to be given at some point, right? Then they have to really, really smash,
right.
And what's the odds that either one of these guys just comes out of the box and smashes? History says not very good. That's the thing is like, we wish cast and just hope so much that they're going to do it. And we see Bowers do it. We're like, that's it. It's going to happen. But like, even when we talk about some of the hits in their first year, those guys weren't even the first tight ends taken in their own drafts. Like Laporta.
Right.
Laporta wasn't the first tight end taken. That was Michael Mayer. So all these situations where people point to, it's usually not even the guy you thought it was anyway.
And I'm old enough to remember dudes like, I don't know, Kyle Pitts, Eric Ebron, just
OJ Howard.
OJ Howard, that class. OJ Howard, David Njoku, that class. It's a hard position to nail down. It just is. Like we know some things. We know they have to be athletic. We know that. Warren
Right.
didn't test. We have no idea if he's athletic. I gotta be honest with you. It's not that he looks unathletic to me, right? Just watching it, just the eye test.
Yes.
He doesn't look like a super freak athlete to me.
No, that's it.
And in college, I would hope that he would look, you know what I mean? Like completely head and shoulders. And that's not to say he wasn't great in college, because I absolutely loved him. Absolutely loved him last year. And I made my kids stop and watch like Penn State games with me, and I hate Penn State, but I'd be like, you got to check this kid out. He's awesome. He's got a mullet, but he plays, H-back, quarterback, tight end.
Right?
Yeah, he'll do anything you want. Yeah, John Riggins' old number, whatever.
Yep.
But Loveland, I think, is more athletic, and I could be wrong. We'll see when he gets to the NFL, but I don't think Warren is, obviously not Brock Bowers. And that's kind of like where we were leading to, at least we were pointing, or at least kind of building towards like, oh, I think he could be that. And I don't think he got there.
Let me ask you, you mentioned that, by the way, same thing. I was like, Warren is number one. And then I was like, toward the end, first of all, Travis Seal, my co-host of The Underground, was Team Loveland. And we had some pretty good conversations, and it won me over before the draft. And then the draft happened, and we're like, Travis, you win. You were right, because he got drafted first. And then the landing spot dilemma comes out, and we've been down. I mean, talk about a tale as old as time. The landing spot. We've heard this from AJ Brown, and name your player going back in history. So tight end landing spot, maybe even a little bit more important. But as we know about landing spots, they change too. Meaning quarterbacks and offensive coordinators, head coaches, GMs, owners, the whole thing can change. So the team, he could change team, get traded, sign somewhere else. Things change.
Absolutely, they do.
All that being said, what do you think about the Loveland Burden landing spot? Does this trouble you, or is it a good spot?
It annoys me that they both got drafted there, because obviously I'd feel a lot better if one of them wasn't there. But there's also if you just take DJ Moore out of the equation, which we've all subconsciously or consciously done, then it looks a lot better. But what if DJ Moore isn't a dog this year? Then DJ Moore doesn't move on, and Roma Dunze is, I don't know, better than he was last year. Let's just say he's a legit wide receiver 2. Then what? It's going to be hard for Burden and Loveland to produce. Like, how many wide receiver 3s on a team actually produce? I think it was like the Rams was the last time that it happened. There might have been a couple other teams since then that I don't remember, but it was like Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. I forget who else it was. Whatever. The Rams had like 3 guys at one point. I don't know how to feel about it. I legitimately don't. I did all this. I dived in, and I was hoping to find that tight ends need to be the second option in the offense to be a fantasy hit. And I dug into the top 6 going back like 5 years, and I found, I was wrong. You were just as likely to be a top 6 tight end if you were the third option in your offense as you were the second or the first. So it was like, all right, well, now what? You know what I mean? Because I was telling myself, well, Loveland can't be the first, so he can't be the second, so he's got no shot. Well, he could be the third. Why could he not be the third? I don't know.
See any reason why not.
Right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know.
He's with a head coach that obviously didn't have a problem feeding tight ends. Little less last year, but even then, you saw Laporta actually smashed at the end of the year. I think Warren has an easier path to being the 1 or 2 on his offense. Now, the problem is his quarterback is not good.
No matter who it is.
Yeah, but I also think Daniel Jones would be fine back there, because he supported Evan Ingram when he was a rookie. So I guess the sooner Daniel Jones gets in there, the better for me there. But if Anthony Richardson's starting, well, then maybe they're not bad, and maybe he
Right.
has improved. So I,
Yeah,
like I said, I didn't go overweight on either of them because I didn't have enough conviction either way.
yeah, I think that's fair. I tend to, it's funny, man. You just encapsulated every thought that I've had about the Burden Loveland situation. Is like, oh yeah, DJ Moore is going to be gone, and then it's like, well, what if he's not gone? You know, so you sort of said it. Yeah, if Caleb starts playing great, then maybe DJ Moore is necessarily playing great, and if that happens, then what, right? So yeah, it's a little bit interesting. Hey, how did you play the Hunter versus Tet? Did you have a clear cut wide receiver one, or did you split that, or did you fade it? How did you play the Hunter Tet situation?
More theoretical than anything because I ended up with one hunter and three Tets. I think not enough that when given the choice, right? And I did a what if mock draft, me and a couple other guys from DD. It was Mitch and Brandon. And one of the things I said is, I was willing to take a shot on Travis Hunter in the situations where I could take an L and just be fine with it. I could eat the L and I'd be fine taking him at 102 in those situations. But in the real world, I didn't have any of those. I took him in one league.
Right.
Everywhere else, it was, Omarion Hampton's there. I'm not even going to risk it. Give me him.
Yeah.
A couple leagues, it was Cam Ward's there. I need a quarterback. Cool. I couldn't bring myself to do it. And then Tet, he was just always off the board. Like it always seemed to be, I was in that Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey, Quinshad Judkins part of the draft where Tet was either gone or I play in heavy PPC leagues. And I'm like, bro, I love Tet, but these are PPC leagues, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to get an extra 3 points a game just from carries. Like I have to do that. Like these guys get rushing first downs and it's worth 0.5 in some of these leagues. So I have to go running back by law.
Right. No, and actually my take has been in a vacuum, even outside of that sort of analysis where you play in PPC or half PPR first down, is this was supposed to be a running back draft. These are like it's like, remember the whole thing we've been trying to say is like, oh, 2025, be ready for the running backs. And then you're like, you know what, I'm going to do at the 102, 103. I'm going to take a wide receiver. It's like, what are you doing? Where's your running back? So, I think it was one of those things where I was just sort of bending my will to try and take running backs or trade back and split the pick. My sort of thought process was that the Ibuka, especially Ibuka, and I got Ibuka around the 1-2 turn a lot. And if you're telling me that I can trade from the 102, 103, 104, right? The 103, 104 to somewhere between the 107 and the 111, 112, pick up that profit and just get Ibuka, I'm way, way more, I'm happier to have Ibuka plus that profit than just Tet. That's just the way I played it.
Yeah.
So I have 0 Tet out of 15 leagues and I have like 7 Ibukas. But I didn't just take Ibuka at 103. I took him later and, sort of filled my needs through earlier in that round. I'm taking, as you point out, Amarian, Genty, Travion were my top 3. I just take those guys in the top 3 or 4. Cam Ward when you need a quarterback. I do like RJ Harvey, as you know. I mean, if you listen to my show once, I love fucking RJ Harvey. But and then just sort of smashing the wide receivers and dart at the turn. It was like I just played it that way. So I kind of missed the Tet Hunter. I did get Hunter once at 108, which was like, all right, fine.
That's crazy.
Right? You want to do that? It's like, oh, well, yep, click. So that just alleviates all of the risk out of that pick.
Yeah, no, so I ended up with like a pretty even like Genty 5, Hampton 6, Caleb, I just traded for him today. So I got 7 of him. Quinshon, I went really heavy, 7. RJ Harvey, 6. But it was literally like whoever's there. I don't care. Like I had no real conviction between the 4 of them, although Hampton obviously I had Hampton and Genty was that first tier for me, right?
Yeah.
I could never get there with Henderson. I was like, I can't take this guy at 103. I can't do it. Like, very good. I'm sure he'll be fine. I think people are discounting Ramondre Stevenson a little too quickly. But he's the guy like I could never get. Now, either it's because I didn't have the 103s. I did have, I traded for some 101s and I sucked in other leagues and had 101s. And then the 102 is the same thing. But Henderson, I just couldn't get my hands on him. So I ended up with all the other running backs, none of the wide receivers until, the second round. I got a few of those. Same thing with Dart, though. I grabbed a lot of Dart. I grabbed a lot of Shador Sanders later than I originally planned on it. And I got a lot of Tyler Shuck.
Yeah. I drafted Henderson 104, 105, three times at the 106 and at the 107. So I never had to take him at the 103 either, even though I was advocating for doing it. A lot of the times when I was at the 103, I would just trade that pick,
Right.
and again, I'd take the profit of look, if they had taken Travion, I would have been happy taking Tet. I just felt like that was a little bit more of a flat area there where I didn't care if it was Tet or Travion. I actually thought I traded back out of I moved from like the 10, I don't remember now, the 104 to the 105, whatever. Maybe it was the 105 to the 106. Doesn't really, yeah, it must have been the 105 to the 106. Doesn't matter. But my point is I thought at the 105 I was gonna take Tet, and it was Tet and Travion, one of those two. And I was like, well, I'll just let this guy pick. He'll probably pick Travion, and I'll end up with Tet anyway. So I trade with him, get the profit, and he takes Tet. So I got Travion again. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care, So for me, I was willing to just sort of continue to get even small profits, because some of those small profits were early thirds. Like you could just trade kind of like, from the 105 to the 106, pick up a 3-2. That 3-2 is like Terrence Ferguson or Elijah Arroyo. It's like that could be huge. I
Yeah.
mean, it may not be, but for the sake of choosing, I don't care. Give me whichever player. I have them even. If you prefer one, give me the one you don't like it. And Elijah Arroyo. Let's do it that way. So I played that way in a lot of leagues, especially in the first round, because I didn't see, Malik Neighbors. Where if I was on the clock and Malik Neighbors was there at the 103 last year, I was not trading for the 301 to get to the 104. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's how I played that a little bit differently.
No, yeah, absolutely. There was no Malik Neighbors, and little did we know there's probably maybe there's a Brian Thomas Jr. Right? He was 23rd overall last year, I think.
Yeah,
maybe he's
Matthew
in there,
Golden.
Right, but there wasn't a Malik Neighbors. There wasn't what we thought Marvin Harrison was going to be, which was Malik Neighbors last year. So it was just all right. Whatever running back. Like I'm not going to move up. No, right. I'm not moving up. I tried to move up a couple times into the second round when RJ Harvey fell.
Yes.
In a couple of my leagues, and unable to do it. And that hurts, because it would really feel nice looking back in 2 years and going, I got RJ Harvey at 204. Like, what is wrong with you people?
Yes.
But yeah, no, this was the year. This was the zero RB year draft, right? You built all these teams with running backs that are dreadful to bad, but because you just rotate, you don't care. You just got a bunch of bodies in there, and then this class came along, and it's like, you want 3 of these guys and just reset your room, and you're like, sure, cheapest way I'm going to get them. This is when I'll spend on a running back. Usually is the rookie draft. Bingo. I'm starting to change a little bit. I'm starting to become a little more aggressive towards running back in season. Really much rather spend a rookie pick than other capital during the season on them.
Totally. Yeah, it's a very interesting, running back. That's why it's so important, in my opinion, to sort of load up in the third round of this class, because those guys are going to be the guys that are any running back on a 53, right? Yeah. To steal your, by the way, I quote you guys a lot, just so you know. I'm sure you hear the, hopefully you guys quote me a little bit too, ready to be wrong or whatever. But anyway, my point is, that's where I'm taking the Devin Neals, the DJ Giddens, the Jarquez Hunters, the Brashard Smiths, the, who did I forget? Taj Brooks, Jaden Blues, just boom, 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 and that's where what I'm saying is, especially in that first round, if you can just play a little draft board parkour, jump around a little bit there in the first round, and then pick up 2, 3, 4, 5 third round picks, which is not that hard to do. You move one spot and you can pick up sometimes a third or two, the 304 and the 310 for moving from the 104 to the 106. That's kind of a fair trade. People will pay that happily to pick their favorite player. So, you do that as much as possible. And then you just have all these bullets in the third round to just, load up your roster with who knows what running backs, right? Because don't you think that that's kind of what this draft class is late?
Yeah, I'll say this though. So, we did 1,001 mocks on DDFB YouTube channel. Check it out. And I felt a lot better about the running back class before the real NFL draft came along and was like, guys, no, we're just going to draft a bunch of these dudes in the 5th and 6th and 7th round. And I was hoping for more 4th round running backs. You know what I mean? Like when Bashal, Tootin, and Cam came off, I think it was early in the 4th, right when it started. And I was driving my kids to pick up their glasses. One of them, I forget which one. He broke it. Damn it. Anyway, driving up there, and I got the TV on. I'm not watching. I'm driving, but yeah, I can listen. And I'm like, all right, Cam's gone, Tootin's gone. Like, all right, here's the run.
Here it comes.
Here's all of them. They're gonna Neal's coming, Giddens. I don't know. There's gonna be a surprise like a Damian Martinez. There's gonna
boom,
be
boom, boom,
and it didn't happen. And that's really what I wanted because I was. It's funny, right? Because how your mind works. If you look at the difference between 4th round and 6th round draft capital for a running back, it's really not that different. It's not. But something in your head, it's like, no. 4th round is better. So that makes the class less good for me. But to your point, you should just be loading up on all these running backs, like Brashard Smith, got a bunch of him, Taj Brooks, right? And some of these guys you just get off the waivers. LaQuint Allen, sure. Jarquez Hunter. Sure, I'll throw them in there. Like, I don't know which one of them is going to be good. I don't know if any of them are going to be good. I know that I had a ton of 3rd round and 4th round picks, and every time I was there, 90% of the time I was like, all right, give me the running back. If Sanders or Shuck fell somehow, I was grabbing them. But most times it's like, no, give me the running back. Give me the running back. And if Kyle Williams was there, I would grab him, but he wasn't, unfortunately.
Well, we started to steam Kyle Williams a bit too. I remember because it's like after the 205, after all these guys go, the Bayshell Tootens and everybody goes, it's like, there's that cliff, right? And it's like, well, who's next? And it's like a lot of Milrow there. And I was like, I think it might even be Kyle Williams. Like, what else are we doing there? It's like, okay, you can take a tight end for sure. You got my support to take any one of the 4 next tight ends, like literally. You can take a running back, but what are you doing? You're taking Devin Neal? I don't know about that. Okay, a quarterback, you can take one of those 3 quarterbacks. Again, okay. But if you're taking a wide receiver, who's it going to be? To me, it's Kyle Williams right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sneak his ass right there. Like, late second, mid to late second, as soon as you have that little spot. And what's funny is if you were in a lot of early drafts, Shane, especially on Sleeper, his ADP was way down there.
Yeah.
And he was going mid-third, and like you were stealing him in the early mid-third. And then people smarted. And then all of a sudden, he was going late second. Now I've seen him go as early as mid to early second when people love him. So Kyle Williams definitely steamed his way right into relevance in the 2nd round.
Yeah, again, another one that I didn't get a lot of. I really like him. I wish I would have gotten more, but I didn't. So it is what it is.
I was too loud on the podcast how much he should be drafted. Everybody started sniping me on his ass.
Dude, Trey Harris, Kyle Williams. I came around on Jaden Higgins late, but unfortunately I got a lot of twos of all these guys. But hey, I got a ton of Jalen Lane off the waivers.
He's a Redskin too. You can't like that.
Nah.
And I'll call them the Redskins if I want to. Don't tell me what to do. Who's your wide receiver one? Sounds like it's Tet.
Yeah. I wide receivers, they get top 10 draft capital. And I'm a big proponent of, I believe, what the NFL is telling me because I am actually not a scout. Unlike some, no, I don't tend to be. Oh. I know player value. I know trade value.
If you put that pen in your hat,
then I'm a scout.
Then you're a scout. You just stick it in there and it sticks out. It looks like
way down south hat, right?
Yeah, so this is a southern hat.
Yeah, it's a southern hat. Like, you put this in my ear and I definitely look like a scout. But I'm not a scout.
Yeah. Hold the PF Chang's menu in front of you. You're good to go.
Exactly. I'm going to take the fact that he is a top 10 drafted player. The opportunity exists because Xavier Legette is it's a word I'm looking for. Not good. Not
terrible.
Good.
Terrible.
Right. Adam Thielen, love him to death. The guy's 1,000 years old. At some point, it's got to stop. And then Coker.
Coker's cool.
Coker was fine. But we don't think Coker's a 1, right?
Never will be.
We don't, and I don't think Coker's a 2. He's probably he could be a very good 3 on a team. So yes. I think the opportunity is there for Tet. And if I remember correctly, Bryce Young might have had some taller receivers in college because he kind of needs that. You know what I mean? Because he's a little guy. He's a little guy. He's got to get out of the pocket, and it's nice to have that big target down the field. And Tet, look, again, I'm not a scout, but I love how smooth he is, man. Just watching him, he's so smooth. And I know people sometimes equate that with lack of effort. You know what I mean? Because when you're just that smooth, sometimes it looks like you're not putting effort out. But I know he doesn't like to watch film, but I like Tet. But shooting upside, it's like last year, right? Last year, the upside was Malik Neighbors. I think everybody knew that that was the upside play, right? And
For
Harrison was
sure.
going to be the safe play.
Safe one.
And not for nothing, that's kind of how it played out. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Malik Neighbors gave you that insane upside, and Marvin Harrison gave you what would, in any other year, any other wide receiver, you'd be very happy with 11 points per game from a rookie. You would
Absolutely.
be like, that is great. I'm giving
Can't
up a
wait for
first
next
for this
year.
guy.
Yep.
Right.
Can't wait for next
And
year.
in this case, he got lapped by BTJ, Ladd, and Malik Neighbors. Three rookie wide receivers had three of the best rookie wide receiver seasons.
Ever.
Going back, they're up there. Like
Yes.
there's a small cohort that Malik Neighbors was in. It was like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham Jr.,
Puka.
and Puka. Like that was it.
Yeah.
And then, you want to go down a little bit to Brian Thomas Jr. There's like four other guys at it, but all good ones. Same thing with Ladd. Anyway, I forget where I was going, what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. So the upside play, I'm all about Travis Hunter because I don't want to say he scratched the surface, but the dude wasn't a full-time wide receiver in college. And I don't know that he'll be in the pros, but I know he'll get at least full-time. What's a word I'm looking for? Attention from the coaching staff, coaching him up and getting him right. Because the physical tools are there and he's an excellent DB. So that he's disciplined enough to make it happen. So the upside is Hunter. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think Tet does feel safer.
I think they feel like that type of arbitrage on each other is that, it's sort of the Luther Burden versus Mecca. If you want to make that argument, Luther Burden's the upside play, and Mecca's the safe one. Tet's the safe one. Hunter's the, the high variance play. In terms of what I find interesting, certainly, let's find out. In terms of where you have Tet today, where you think he is amongst some of the other wide receivers in Dynasty, that's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, we're going to play a little game, this or that, who you have in Dynasty, Tet McMillan or your boy, A.J. Brown.
So this is, in case people can't tell, this is the first time listening to me. I am from Philadelphia. I am not one of them fake New Jersey, Delaware, people that claim Philadelphia, not from the suburbs, like literally the hood Philly. I bleed Philly, so I might have. You look behind me. There's Brown's fake jersey. I have his rookie card over there somewhere. Big Brown fan. I just took my kid to his camp last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever. It was several weeks ago. There you go. I get it. Yep, that's his dude. Loves him. So excited when he got the jersey. I'm a little tired of hearing about how AJ is going to get traded to the Patriots just because he was a Tom Brady fan. Like, dude, right. he respects ball. So I'm just putting that caveat out there because I'm a Philly guy, so there are green colored glasses. I'll take AJ. AJ's 17 points per game. There's only a select few wide receivers that consistently hit that every year. So there's no reason for me to guess on that one.
What about Tet versus T. Higgins in Dynasty?
This is where I get to be a hater, and my haterade comes out, and I go, T. Higgins isn't as good as what he showed last year. He had some big games where he popped off that drug his score up, and you can't take those games out of the equation. They happened, but I'm still going to try to take those games out of the equation like they didn't happen to support my narrative.
Please,
so I'm going to take Tet. I'm going to take Tet, but no, but it's mostly because of hatred and pettiness. I think.
Good. Yeah. Good. Those are good reasons. That's actually what the listeners need to hear because that's what they have. They have a lot of hatred, pent up anger, and pettiness, and they want to know that it's okay to use those as evaluation tools.
There's just some players, for whatever reason, right? They start getting steamed up, and you're like, no, I disagree with this, and because the rest of the community doesn't agree with me, I'm going to dig my toes into the sand, and I don't know if that would really make you very stationary. But yeah, you get my point.
Dig your toes into the pavement. That would hurt. I don't exactly know where you're supposed to dig your toes in to begin with.
You probably shouldn't. You shouldn't dig into anything. Yeah, never mind.
Nope. Hold your toes. Maybe put some nice baby oil on there, something, maybe some powder, whatever it is, but not into the dirt, sand, and pavement.
Take care of them.
Tet McMillan versus Jackson Smith and Jigba.
This is where I get into haterade. Like I said, I took I own this loss. I took a big L on him because he kind of bombed his rookie season. And generally, wide receivers that do that in their rookie year don't turn out very well. I mean, here's the thing, right? So what is Seattle telling you? They had no problem moving DK Metcalf. They're like, fine, go. You don't want to be here. You want to be on the West Coast somewhere sunny with a chance to compete. So sure, you'll go to
Perfect.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we got you.
Uh,
We got you, bro.
Again, to take the guessing out of it, JSN. Yeah,
Yeah.
JSN.
I think that's right. That's where I have him. So far, we're 2 out of 3, with the only difference was the A.J. Brown. What about Tet versus Marvin Harrison Jr.?
It's got to be Marvin Harrison.
Agree.
Again, I think people are overreacting to his poor season, air quotes. The dude put up, I forget the exact number, but it was close to 11 points a game, right? Right
Yeah.
around then. That's excellent for a rookie wide receiver. It just so happens that you had 3 last year that absolutely knocked it out of the box. Most years, you get 11 points out of a rookie wide receiver, you're ecstatic. One concern is there might be some touchdown regression there. Trey McBride is a little bit of a target diva, taking all the targets, like no one else can have him. But dude, I think the Cardinals, and it's all guesswork, right? You don't spend what you spent on him to make him not a primary option in the offense. There's got to be some discussion over the offseason that's been happening about getting him the ball more because it needs to happen. So, yeah, give me Marvin Harrison.
Did you see Marvin Harrison like the other day on he's yoked. You
Yeah.
see him?
Yeah.
He looks
Yeah.
like he's like DK 220, 225. I mean, he was looking huge. I'm not sure I like that, but either way, it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I want him to be more like his pop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his
We'll
pop
see how
was
that
just
works.
the perfect wide receiver. No diva in him whatsoever. Don't want to mess with him though.
No. Yeah.
No,
He
not
brings
at
a
all.
different type of gun
Yeah,
to the show.
yeah, no beef, no beef.
No. So okay, so I agree with all this so far. I've got a couple more to ask you, but that's going to go into a different type of conversation. So I'm going to sort of ask and talk about this. So this is what my problem is with taking him at the 103 is that we comfortably have like AJ Brown, JSN, Marvin Harrison Jr. ahead of him, and you had to, bring out a bag of hatred to get him ahead of T. Higgins,
Yeah,
a wide receiver 2 on his own team, right? So I think he's not this elite thing, or at least we sort of talk out of 2 sides of our mouth. We're like, yeah, that's our wide receiver 1. He's my wide receiver 1 too, and I have him in the same range as you. However, when I see that in a rookie draft, I'm thinking, well, would I trade the 103 to get T. Higgins? No. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Right? And they're close, so I don't want to take Tet McMillan with the 103 either, But would I trade the 103 to get the guy that's like, Brees Hall or something? Probably. And I think that's where
Yeah.
I've got like Travion Henderson. Anyway, long story short, I actually think that that 103 is a bit overvalued in this draft anyway, because I'd probably rather there be a couple of elite wide receivers and get Travion Henderson at the 105, 106, right? Maybe there's a quarterback in the draft, which there kind of is, kind of isn't, right? So, in other words, a lot of these players, if they were just thrown into last year's draft, like Tet would have been, dude, he'd be behind Bowers and Odunze, I think, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, coming in
Right.
thinking about not thinking about at all what they did in their rookie season.
Right. No. Yes. No.
Right,
Yeah.
Roman Dunze was definitely thought of higher than Tet was.
See what I'm saying?
And Bowers is not even close. Like
Right.
it obviously cross positional, but it wasn't even close. Like Bowers, I think everyone knew he I fucking hate that word. I'm not going to use it. Everybody knew he was special.
Right.
Everybody knew it. Right. I don't think there's anyone. I know after he got drafted to the Raiders, a couple people in the world were like, "Oh, I hate that landing spot," and it's like, well, then you're special. I don't know how to help you because he's Brock Bowers and he's going to be really good no matter where he is. And then guess what he did? He was really good wherever he is.
Yeah, and I think if we look at like the worthy lad BTJ, remember that late first?
Yeah,
he'd have been in there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And I wouldn't have taken him over BTJ. I liked BTJ. I did not get enough of him. I'll own that. Like I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, oh, I was touting him and I took him everywhere. No, I didn't tout him hard enough.
Right.
But I still would have taken BTJ over him last year.
Yeah, and I think what I guess I'm getting at is I think that's where the disconnect is with drafting him so staunchly at the 103. It's not that I don't think he's good. It's that I think there's a value trap there that I'm willing to exploit. I think the
Mm-hmm.
value of the 103 is greater than the value of the man picking there. So, that's all. And that's a small difference. And that's just something. Look, if you pick Ted at the 103, it's fine. I would totally do that. It's not like I'm like if I was stuck at the 103 and it was a rebuilding team, I would just be like, Ted, put him on my team. Let's go. That's what I got to do. Let's do it. But generally speaking, I'm trying to trade out of there. Let's go with a couple more that I think we'll probably get into a conversation about one or two of these guys. Ted McMillan versus Garrett Wilson. Right.
I mean, it should be Garrett Wilson.
It
Like
should be.
I shouldn't have to think about this, to be
We
quite honest
shouldn't,
with
but
you.
we do have to think about it.
He's been a target hog in 2 years or 3 years, excuse me. He's
Totally.
gotten better every season, right? Like the trajectory, well, dipped a little bit in the second year, but the trajectory is where you want it to be, almost 15 points per game last year. And Aaron Rodgers wasn't good.
Right.
And then he had to deal with Devontae Adams being there, and he's still 8.
Yeah.
I got to go Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I got to go Garrett Wilson. Again, I'm hoping if Tet comes out and is wide receiver 18 in the next 3 years, you would be excited, right? Garrett Wilson's already done that. And it feels like there's more there. It does. And if someone's going to do it with him, I think it's Justin Fields,
Yeah. I mean, DJ Moore certainly had his best season with Justin Fields. I had brought this up to, you're going to like this. I brought this up to JJ Zacharyson. Check out that show last week. Pretty damn good. JJ's awesome. But that being said, I brought this up and he was like, here's the one thing though. He goes, if Tet sort of falls flat a little bit, has an Odunze-like season, he'll hold value potentially, or should. If Garrett Wilson disappoints this year, there's going to be a lot of people who are just jumping ship. He sort of brought up the ADV, right? Where it's like, what's the mindset of dynasty managers if, not worst case, but somewhere near worst case scenario happens for both of them? What happens then? I think Garrett Wilson, as he pointed out, might fall into sort of the Chris Olave bucket, maybe, or Jalen Waddle without the injury, that type of thing. This type of area where all of a sudden people are like, yeah, maybe, probably not. You know what I mean? I agree with you. It should be Garrett Wilson, though. But there is some ADV issue there with Garrett Wilson that I'm terrified of if you're holding him right now.
I don't know. Look, and I don't appreciate being on the week after JJ because there's literally no way to compete with that. Like, it's just like, really? Anyway, and I don't like disagreeing with him, but I think if Tech comes out and gives me 8 points per game, I think a lot of people will go, this dude ain't it. Now,
maybe
that's because their situations are wildly different.
Yeah.
He has literally no one on that team should challenge him for the target lead. Absolutely no one. I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't give a shit. If he does not have a 20% target share, at least. I'm not going to say 25 because that is lofty, right? But as a rookie, he should be stepping into 20%.
Period.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Because, again, Adam Thielen is fine. Xavier Legette, maybe he learned how to catch in the offseason. And I generally don't care about drops, but that dude is egregious. I can't see how there'd be no excuse for him, is my point, right?
Agreed.
It's not like there's one other transcendent star on that team. Like Rome Odunze had the built-in, I don't want to say excuse that, well, he had a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
He had a horrible head coach and offensive coordinator for however long.
Yeah, 2 stud wide receivers. Yep.
And 2 stud wide receivers that are both target hogs. You had Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Like, these aren't guys, like, this isn't like Will Fuller going out there on 19% target shares and smashing. Like, no, this is DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, guys that usually hog about 25% target shares themselves.
Totally.
And I'm not saying that Rome Odunze is going to hit. I actually am betting against him, but I'm saying that the story, at least, it makes more sense to people, I think.
I agree with that. That's a good take, because I do agree there's probably some more skepticism of Tet McMillan than there was of Rome Odunze, and there was some built-in excuse making going into the Rome Odunze first year. They were kind of like,
absolutely.
Right, we were all kind of like, what's going to happen here? And then what happened there was like, well, I guess we thought that was going to happen, So I've got a new one that I've been thinking about because, I've been steaming up Rashee Rice last year. I drafted him, of course, everywhere in redraft. Of course, right? Like, I was fully 100% exposed to Rashee Rice in redraft last year. Like, of course I was, right? Anyway, not complaining. Yeah, I am. Tet McMillan versus Rashee Rice in Dynasty. What say you, Mr. Manila?
This one's tough, right? Because Rasheed
It is.
Rice was an absolute monster, an absolute monster those 3 weeks. And if
Right.
Pat Mahomes doesn't go out there and blow out Rasheed Rice's knee, do the
What's
Eagles
going to
win the
happen?
Super Bowl?
Right.
I don't know. There's a whole other. I don't know if anybody believes in the many worlds theories, but there's a world where Rasheed Rice didn't get his knee blown up by his quarterback, and the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl, but they didn't.
Totally.
So it sucks for
No,
them, and I
totally.
got to go to a parade. I think I'll go Tet here, only because the emergence of Worthy last year
That's right.
and Hollywood Brown when he came back, right? And even though Travis Kelce is 1,000 years old, he's still a big target getter.
Yep.
I think Kansas City, and this goes back to Andy Reid's days in Philadelphia, where Donovan McNabb would always be excited about how many receivers he targeted in a game. He'd be like, "Oh, he
Yeah.
targeted 12 receivers this week," and I'm like, "That
Yeah.
sucks. Like, why are
Yes.
you targeting this asshole 3 times? Like, can you just target the good ones a bunch of times?" I
Yes.
think they like to spread the ball out, and I don't think they had that option to start last year. Right? Hollywood wasn't there. Worthy, they didn't know what to do with. Obviously, Kelsey was there, and Kelsey is Kelsey. So I think I'll go Tet, but I can't fault anyone that would go Rice because that dude looked like an absolute monster last year.
Yeah, you talk about multiple worlds. There are multiple worlds going forward here where Rashi Rice picks right up where he left off. And you're like thinking, how did I ever fade him? I
Yeah.
saw it with my own eyes. It was the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. Like, why was I ever thinking that he wasn't awesome? And he's a dope wide receiver one, top 6 wide receiver in 2025. And we're like hitting ourselves over the head going like, we were afraid of Marquise Brown. What's wrong? You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's one of them. And then the other one is this thing that you're talking about where it's like Jalen Royals gets 45 targets this year and
I forgot
Brashard
about him.
Smith gets 38 targets and right, and you're just like Noah Gray has 62 targets and you're like Rashi only got like 115 what happened? Like right? So he played good, but he just was some games there, some games not. Like you can tell yourself either one of those stories and they're very believable and they make logical sense, right? Like either one. I'm with you. I'm starting to come around a little bit on Rashi. There's been a little bit of suppression of his value because of the injury, which is normal. Hey, dude's knee bent the entire wrong way.
Mm.
That's usually bad. And he's got to fix that. And then also the suspension thing, although the suspension thing is now starting to sound like they're not even going to have a verdict in his situation for like a 2 year or some crazy thing. Like it's not going to come to fruition during this season. So they won't preeminently suspend him. They're going to wait till after the verdict before they determine his guilt and his involvement, which we kind of already know, but they're not going to act preemptively, not preeminently. Neither way, they're not going to act either way. I am misusing words on purpose because it's the Shane Manila pod. Honor, hail to the king. Thank you, Shane, for being here. Um, but so I do think like his runway is a bit clear if he's healthy, and it sounds like he is. So I'm starting to come around that maybe he's just the stud in waiting.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of available evidence towards that, and one thing
Right.
that I always say, and I didn't think of this because I'm not that smart, but Peter Howard always brought it to the forefront. Targets are earned,
Yep.
regardless of who's on the field with you, right? If you weren't good at garnering targets, they would dissipate among other people. Again, I'm not sure that's
Right.
correct terminology there, but
Again, dissipate. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
they
Dispel to the other
yeah,
targets. They totally
they
do a lot of that.
dismay. They dismay
They
to everyone.
dismay. Yeah, exactly. They do
They
all that.
disengage, but they would spread
Disengage.
out. But you are good enough that you earned those targets. And he
Yes.
had a 25% target share. I mean, it doesn't matter who's on the field with you. Like, targets are earned usually.
Yes.
That is a sign. So it
Yeah,
is a little bit.
we talked about that if on a previous show if DJ Moore were to leave, it wouldn't just be like, oh, Luther Burden all of a sudden got no. They would it'd be like water. It would just fill in across the board, and those 130 DJ Moore targets would just find the water level. They wouldn't go to one
Right.
place. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Man, I'm starting to really like Rashi again. I think it may be a buy opportunity right now. There may be some nervous Nancy's, nervous ninnies. We've got the wrong word. What kind of nervous things are there? Lots of nervous things. But I think there are a lot of people holding Rashi with a little bit of trepidation. I think you could probably go in there and maybe get a value on him because I don't think he's viewed right now in that same range. I don't think people are paying a top 6 rookie draft pick for Rashee Rice right now, right?
No, I don't
You
think
know what
so.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but if we're saying he's close to Tet or maybe ahead of Tet, you could probably buy him much cheaper. So I'm thinking that there's a buy opportunity for Rashee Rice potentially, and I would advocate for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I again, if I can get him at a price that's
Or
comfortable,
value.
can I trade Bucky Irving for him? A
I
player
think
I don't
so.
particularly believe in. If I could do that, yeah, I would like more Rice, and I was out on him as soon as he got injured last year because I was in the camp of, oh shit, his knee is just decimated, and
It looked terrible.
the longer this goes without news, it's usually bad, right? You don't get second opinions on good things. Well,
Right.
apparently he did.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
yeah,
No, it
yeah,
looked bad. It sounded bad. And look, he ain't back yet. So there's some risk still
yeah.
baked into all of his costs, which is kind of the point where I think if you're buying him, we talk about this show all the time. We actually did this week's show on the Underground was all the different types of trades that you can make, examples of it, and trade advice and tips and all the rest of it. And a lot of times, one of the other big trade advice is don't just come out and be like, hey man, I'm going to give you the 205 for Rashee. What do you say? And then they're like, no, fuck you. And then you're just working on a trade for Rashee. A lot of times it's, you kind of come in and maybe, have a little conversation around it, be a little bit more coy, and you might get yourself some Rashee.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of these running backs, bro, I did this and I hurt a lot of people's feelings. I started just reciting the top 5 running back picks in various draft class. You ever want to do that? You ever want to piss someone off? Just do
Yeah,
that. Just be like,
yeah.
oh, after Saquon Barkley, it went Darius Geis, Sony Michel. Oh, Nick Chubb was good. What was the other one? Royce Freeman, Kerryon Johnson. You like any of those guys? And people like start to throw up in their mouth. You know what I mean? Let
We
me give you
loved
this
them.
one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, right? And people are just like, oh my God, this is starting to make me, right? So a lot of these classes that we think are so good, there's more busts than there are hits sometimes. And it's like really shocking, right? I mean, we just don't
Yeah,
see it coming at all.
yeah.
I guess I would ask you, of all the day one running backs, which one do you think, is most likely to bust or is it just
I
equal
mean,
across the board?
so we've only got what 2 day ones. We've got
I meant day 1 and 2. I'm so sorry. I meant
day 1 and 2. Okay.
day 1 and 2. The top 6. The Caleb Johnson, R.J. Harvey,
Yeah.
Omarion, Travion, Judkins, and Genty. Sorry, I said that wrong.
Oh gosh. I don't want it to be Judkins. It's probably Judkins. Probably Judkins. Because I know he had a great combine, right? But part of the knock on him was like nobody saw that on the football field.
Right.
You saw it at the combine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's true.
Jonathan Taylor blazed at the combine, right? But he backed
We
it
knew
up
it.
in real games, and Quinchon didn't, and they don't throw to Quinchon. At least they didn't a lot in college, and they did draft Dylan Sampson the very next round, and it does feel like he will have I don't want to say more of the pass catcher role because that won't be all he's limited to, but he'll definitely have at least I think he'll have the Kareem Hunt role there, which could eat into Judkins enough because Judkins is probably not Nick Chubb, even if Sampson isn't Kareem Hunt. So
Right.
and I love Judkins. So I don't want it to be him because I loved him since his freshman year at Ole Miss. So I don't want it to be him, but probably him.
It's a pretty good answer. I thought you might say Caleb just because he was the last one picked, I guess. But I really like Caleb in that offense too. I feel like he's set up for success even without a quarterback. Just that scheme and everything, and the way they see him as a player, I think that they're going to have him set up for success. That it could be him. R.J. Harvey has a little bit of bust.
Yeah.
He's literally throwing red flags into the stands as he plays. Like you know what I mean. He's got red flags. Granted, I love him and I think he's a dope football player, but that doesn't. I thought that about Darius Geis too, man.
Yeah.
Geis, flamed for other reasons, but doesn't matter. They flame nonetheless. I think it might be Judkins. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. It could be many of these guys. You got to be ready for that. If outside of Genty, because I mean, obviously he's the easy answer to this question because he's already projected as a top 6 running back. If you had to pick one of these guys who would finish 2025 as a top 6 running back, regular season this year, who do you think that is?
Besides Genty, just
Yeah.
taking Genty out of it.
Yeah.
So this is going to annoy people. Not Hampton, because we're looking at points per game over the full year, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time for for
Omarion. Yeah.
Amarian to get rid of Najee, because Najee's
He's
whatever you want to say
there.
about him. The guy's adorable guy that can take as much as you will give him. Now,
I thought you said adorable, but
he is adorable. He
I
is
was like, he's
adorable.
adorable?
He is
What's that got to do
adorable.
with anything? He's
Oh, Najee,
adorable guy.
such a
That's
cutie. No, he is
yeah.
adorable. He might be adorable. I don't
I
know. I don't know.
think we might have found the show title. Najee Harris, adorable guy.
So he's adorable. So I don't
Yeah.
think he's dropping off anytime soon. Oh man, so that already leads you in the RJ Harvey, Trev Henderson, Caleb. And it's funny, I just talked about how Quinshon's in trouble because he doesn't get enough receptions. Give me Caleb.
Wow.
Caleb
Okay.
Caleb, I'm not a football scout. I just keep saying it. All I keep reading about how he is perfect for that blocking scheme.
Yeah.
How he is, there's only one Lev Bell. He is similar to Le'Veon Bell, and he's special. Caleb, I'm going outside of the range.
I
What
like it.
fun is it going to Hampton? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No,
Like the dude's a
Hampton. Yeah.
second. No.
And actually, Hampton does have that upside for sure. I think it's fun to talk about this way because you start to think about range of outcomes. But I think you're right. I think Najee's brought in with purpose. And generally speaking, like, I think Najee is the soft pillow, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, he allows Hampton to come in and be like, hey, when you don't know what you're doing, when you need a break, when everything's moving too fast because it's a new league and, like, you're not totally hip to what the coverage is and what the checks are and what the audibles are and what this is. And oh my God, fucking that guy just hit me harder than I've ever been hit in my
Yeah.
life. And right, like that corner was so fast. How did he get there so quick? All these things are just moving so fast. He's trying to, get used to it. It's like, just put in Najee, and Najee's like, I've been here and done that. I'm not that,
Yeah.
but I know exactly what I'm doing, bro. I'm not stressed about a single thing. And I think that's what he is. I mean, he's only there for a 1-year deal. I think he's exactly there to help sort of Omarion sort of ramp up. And I think you're right. Early on, it's going to probably be even more Najee than Omarion in the first 2 to 3, 4 weeks, something like that. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think so. Now, by the end of the season, I think Hampton is significantly better. He's a more
Agree.
talented player. He's
Yes.
a better rounded player. By the end of the season, I think, because you remember, I think it was John Taylor, his rookie season started off slow, and people were like, "Oh, this guy, what are we doing
Yeah.
here?"
Yes.
We're not going to have that. I think we've smartened up as a community. We generally don't give up on running backs after 4 weeks now.
I will be
Generally,
buying in if they do, though.
yeah, absolutely. I will be
Yes.
watching KTC, and I'll be checking
Yes.
Dynasty Daddy to see if there's any dips in value and jumping in
Yes.
there. But I think by the end of the year, Hampton could absolutely be in a position
A
where he's
70
dropping
30.
18 points. Right.
Totally.
18
I
points per
totally
game.
agree. Yep. Totally
But
agree.
over a season long stretch, it's going to be like, oh, he had 12 points per game.
Right. Exactly. I think RJ Harvey's got a shot too. Really, sort of up and coming offense. Bo Nix, unless that was a complete and utter lucky mirage in his rookie year, should be able to take a step. We really saw him actually taking steps all last year. If you just isolate his like first 6 games with the rest of the season, he was like 2 different quarterbacks, and the quarterback that he was in the second half of the season was like near MVP level. Like he was playing crazy good. And so I don't know that he plays that good, but if he can just play the sort of the split between those two, like that's a damn good quarterback. If he can play to his average last year, my goodness, he was really, really good. So if Nix is that good, there's really, he was known as the dump off king.
Yeah, I was going to
He's
say.
right. He's not afraid to take the easy money. It could be RJ Harvey because he might be, he might be 60, 70%, share to start if he can handle everything, right?
Why wouldn't he be, right? Because they
I
have
mean,
Jaleel. I call him Jameel. That's not even his right name. The guy's so
no,
bad. I'm just getting his name wrong. Jaleel McLaughlin. My
easy for
apologies.
you to say, pal.
Jesus, Jaleel. I'm sorry. I apologize.
J Mac.
He's fine as a complimentary piece.
Yeah. Same thing with Estime, right?
Estimate, yeah. But like Harvey should have every like all the touches he wants.
I think so.
He can catch passes. Obviously, he can carry a full workload as just a runner. I don't think there's any reason that he shouldn't start out in that role. But NFL coaches do weird things, right?
They do weird
Because
stuff, man.
rookie misses a block in practice, and you know what I mean. Like he's in Sean Payton's doghouse. Now I don't think they'll do that because apparently Harvey's smashing Payton's daughter. Best I can tell from Twitter, I think that's what was happening.
Is that right?
No, he was just
Oh,
he's super excited that his daughter was that his daughter liked RJ Harvey. He's a little too excited about it for my take, but
that's
whatever,
great.
whatever. You know, do whatever you got to do to keep your team happy, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean, what is it? Yeah, it's like an arranged marriage or something like that. This all makes
yeah,
sense. Like, just set it up. We
yeah.
want them to be good. Like, it's important. I get it.
Yeah, I think from day one he's probably the one that can step in. Besides Genty, obviously, but he's the
Right.
one that could step in, and there's really not anyone there that can stop him from having a complete, like you said, 60-40, 70-30 split.
People soon forget like just how good RJ Harvey was. I know he didn't play like prominent schedule. He was, he played for UCF, but like if you look at some of his games, like he played at TCU, he had 29 carries for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now TCU's supposedly pretty good. Colorado, he actually had one of his worst games against Colorado. At Florida, 75 and a touch. What was another one? Iowa State goes for 196 and 2 touchdowns. Arizona, weren't they supposed to be good? I don't even know.
Yeah,
22 for 184 and 3 touchdowns. Arizona State was like, they almost won the national championship or whatever. He had 3 touchdowns and 127 yards. Like, he was really good. West Virginia on the road, 130 and 2. Like, he played some levels of competition. It wasn't like completely, nobody. So I think in a lot of ways, RJ Harvey proved it on some of the biggest stages that he was given. And yeah, dude, he is so much fun to watch. Like, he doesn't need a ton. He's going to get some pass game work, and he's going to make big plays. And if Estime wants to take some of the like 3rd and 1 stuff, it's like, sure, go ahead, bro. But I think there's going to be a lot of space for RJ Harvey. They've got a lot of speed on the outside, Marvin Mims, and yeah, we'll see, man. I'm pretty excited for that situation in Denver and RJ Harvey. Let's do this. We talked about the Kyle Williams. I think this is kind of an important situation when it comes to rookie drafts. We talked about drafting these. We've been talking about this leading up. Your boy, Scott Connor, always says, any wide receiver drafted outside the top 50 is a bad bet. And it's like, then you're like, bullshit, bro. And then you go look and you're like, oh, yeah, he's right.
yeah.
It's like, you want that to be wrong. But unfortunately, that's as right as rain. Like, you look at that, like, line of demarcation, and it's staggering, really. There's a couple around the 50-something area that have hit, and there's a couple of outliers, like literally just a smattering. There's one big one, which is Puka, but other than that, like the next one you reach for is
pretty.
like Tank Dell. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
And so I tell myself, even though I like a lot of these players, don't draft them. Are you drafting a lot of the guys that fell outside the top 50 in your rookie drafts?
A lot is a strong word. No, I mean there's Kyle Williams was what 69, 79.
Yeah, he was somewhere in there.
Whatever. He was. So there's Kyle Williams, and then yeah, that's literally it. Like the rest of the wide receivers, I drafted some Savion Williams because I thought they were going to change him to a running back, and they gave him wide receiver number, and I died a little inside because I was like, well, that's a wasted pick. But for the most part, I stayed away from them. You know what I mean? Like I tried to get a little bit of Kyle Williams, didn't get it. Tried to get Trey Harris, didn't get it. Jack Beck was right before the 50, so I think like that was my line of demarcation. Like I took that really seriously this year, like especially because I could get a lot of those guys on waivers. I got a ton of Jalen Lane. Like, whatever. I paid nothing for him. I got Isaac Tesla. Do I expect him to do anything in the NFL? Not really, but I got him on the waiver wire, so who gives a shit? The worst I lost was $4 in Fab. I've largely avoided the wide receivers. They're not there for me. They're just not.
Yeah, I was drafting Kyle Williams a little bit, but I don't even think I got very much Kyle Williams. Like I said, a lot of people sort of steamed him ahead of even where I was willing to take him, and I was pushing him way up to that spot. I felt like I did, in my drafts, I kind of stuck to it. I got a lot of Trey Harris. I do because I had him ahead of Matthew Golden. So, I was happy, but I got him at 205, 206 a lot of the time. So anyway, a lot of Trey Harris. But after that, what I would do is I'd take all the, the quarterbacks, I didn't take any Shug just because I think he sucks, but Tyler Sucks. Can we do that?
Too easy.
His new nickname?
All right, we're just going to use fun names. You want to know my favorite? And I said this on Twitter. I have no idea if he's going to be good, but it's fun to say. Scam Cataboo. Scam. I like calling him Scam Cataboo. Now, if he's good, I'm sure people will throw that in my face, but I have no idea if he'll be good or not. Anyway.
We basically just always say, the thing about Cam Scadaboo is he never fumbles because he just keeps the football in his lunch pail. You know what I mean? He's just a lunch pail kind of player. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Just a real cerebral player, tough-nosed, brings the lunch pail. First in, first out.
Carries telephone poles around, apparently, as training. Yeah.
Yeah. You know the type.
Oh, I know.
Comps very closely to Theo Greminger, I always say. That's the type. So, okay, so I have largely missed him. And then what I've done is I've taken whatever falls after the Taj Brooks, Damian Martinez, like the early fourth. You get like Ty Feltons and Torrey Hortons back there. I even got an Ayamanor back there once, which was kind of cool. I mean, I think that he's definitely a third round pick generally, but I got him in the fourth, and I'm fine just taking whatever sort of falls to me with those fourth round picks that I've got, whoever it is, because it's like Ty Felton, Torrey Horton, and that's usually the two guys back there. I don't like Tesla so much. Royals goes way earlier. Jalen Noel goes way earlier. Besh and even Ayamanor generally go way earlier, but whenever they'd fall to me late, I'd grab them there.
Yeah, I did not draft a lot of wide receivers. I wish I could total this up. I probably could, but I just didn't draft a lot of wide receivers.
Smart. Smart.
The majority by a landslide of the receivers that I've gotten were on the waiver wire. I got a couple Matthew Goldens. I got a couple of Mecca Abukas because I did have a line of demarcation, right? I was like, I don't like Matthew Golden, but as soon as we're ready to draft a fourth round wide receiver running back over him,
yes.
I'm not doing that. He's a first round wide receiver. The NFL's smarter than me. There's a better chance that I'm wrong than they are, and he'll get more opportunity, which is even more important. So that was my line of demarcation. Once we got past Matthew Golden, all the first round wide receivers were gone, I believe. Mecca was already gone. And then I wasn't in a position, I don't think really, to even think about Luther Burden. I just wasn't. And I wasn't taking any of the other guys. Not a chance. Like I said, I'll just, whatever falls to me. I wanted Trey Harris. I'm not talking about them. The Trey Harris, Jaden Higgins. I wanted those guys, but I just couldn't get them.
All right. I'm gonna send you on this. We're gonna do one thing and then we're done. Okay. We're gonna talk little Dallas Cowboys and then we're gonna go. Just because it's fun. This is because you're the Philadelphia Eagle guy. There's got to be no team you like talking about least or less than the Dallas Cowboys. So I'll just feed you the red meat. You do whatever you want with it. We'll have some fun. But I think it is kind of interesting that we get George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb together. I think that, I had some George Pickens shares or whatever, and I was like, you can't trade him for anything when he was in Pittsburgh before he got traded. And now I'm kind of like, he's the wide receiver 2 in a Dak Prescott offense. I kind of like that a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, Dak Prescott throws a lot, right? And I don't know how much continuity there's going to be there with Brian Schottenheimer. I honestly don't know how long he's been there, but I know that their running backs are Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, Miles Sanders, and Deuce. I don't care. Deuce Vaughn. They ain't going to be a heavy running team. They're just not. If you look at George Pickens' Trinity score, check out the Trinity on ddfantasyfootball.com. I have to at least plug it once.
I know,
and if you want access,
you should be plugging.
I'm a bad seller. And if you
want
a promo code,
by the way, hold on, Shane. By the way, you're going to tell your promo code, but I actually talk about your show more than any other show other than the one I'm doing. I talk about your show all the time. So the listeners here do know that. So I'm talking Shane and Scott all the time. Just want to clear that up because you're right. I'm not sitting here pimping your stuff, but your stuff is the stuff I consume. I
I'm
love it.
terrible at pimping myself, but I got
Me
to be a
too.
company man. So yeah, if
Yeah.
you want to check out the site, you can get it half off the first month. Just DM me. I'll send you the promo code. Everybody on the site has a promo code. So if you don't like me and you listened for an hour and a half for some reason, feel free to ask someone else from the site if they have a promo code because they all do. Anyway, where were we? We were talking bad
We were
about
talking
the
about George Pickens, but tell
oh,
tell
George
him,
Pickens.
yeah,
Yeah, so the
yeah,
Trinity
the Trinity
score
score.
really good, really high. His only problem was bad quarterback play, right? Russ could do one thing last year, moonballs. That's literally it, which is fun, but dude, you can't live off that. It's like living off sugar cookies. Like you're gonna get diabetes and they're gonna chop you off at the knees, and then you're just gonna be stumping around, you know, trying to get by with stumps his legs because you ate all that sugar cookies for dinner. So now he's going to a team that's going to give him, some vegetables. There's going to be meat. There's going to be protein. It's going to be a healthy diet. It's going to be a full complement of targets, not just moon balls, though I'm sure there will be some deep shots.
There'll be a couple moon
He's
balls.
never had a CeeDee Lamb on his roster before to take away attention. Like everywhere, George Pickens has been the number one option on his offense.
Yes.
He's now the number two, right? I know CD's calling him the 1A or whatever he is, but
Whatever. That's
come on,
bullshit, right?
CD.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm pretty sure that the corner coverage is gonna skew towards CD before it does to George Pickens, and that's not a slight on him. That's just how good CD is. The dude should smash. He should absolutely smash. The only way he doesn't smash is if he is actually a head case. There were some signs of it, right? In fairness to him, it could have been just competitiveness, right? Losing sucks,
Yeah.
and the times when he lost his shit was generally when they weren't doing well on the field. So maybe it's that. I tend to think, and I don't know the guy at all. I tend to think he just strikes me as a guy that's kind of, I don't want to say head case because that's kind of
He's different.
callous, but he just seems like a hothead to me.
Yeah.
Now, can Brian Schottenheimer find a way to channel that energy into something that Mike Tomlin couldn't? I don't know. But I also know he's probably going to be a hell of a lot happier getting 115 targets from Dak Prescott than anything he's ever seen before in his life. So
Agree.
I think their offense is going to be really good. Like the receivers, Jake Ferguson is your third option as your tight end. That's not bad, man. That's going to be a potent offense. It is. And I hate the
agree.
Cowboys. I absolutely hate them. I hate most of their fans.
Yeah.
I like to say to their fans that I don't even think about Dallas, to be quite honest with you. Like, I don't really hate Dallas. You just don't matter to me because you don't matter in the playoffs. So, once you win a Super Bowl in this century, I'll consider them a rival to the Eagles. Till then, they're just a team that, I think could be really good and make the playoffs as a wild card out of the East, but would get their asses spanked by the Eagles in the playoffs.
They're a cute.
So I was too nice to them at the beginning. I was way too nice to them at the beginning, so I had to go the complete opposite way at the end of it. I love CeeDee Lamb, absolutely. Like, dude, he's probably one of my favorite wide receivers. He's so good, right? And Micah Parsons, really going to look in that good in that Eagle green when he's here next year or whenever he gets here. But they still got some holes, man. They still have some holes, I don't know if they can keep up with the Eagles. I don't.
Look at that. I gave the man his red meat. He took it. I will say before I let you go on the Cowboys, the Jaden Blue hype has reached epic proportions. Have you seen any crazy Jaden Blue action in your leagues?
No, just the fact that people are drafting him, way overdrafting him over like guys like Woody Marks. And I'm like, well, I get that he's fast as hell. I get that. And I get that he's a very good running back, a receiver as a running back. I might as well just call him a wide receiver. But I mean, give me Woody Marks. I'll just take Woody Marks around later. Like, I'm not paying a second round pick for this guy. Absolutely not. I haven't seen any crazy trades for him yet, and I didn't draft any of them. It just worked out that way, so I haven't been able to put him out there. I really wish I did, and that's something I got to do a better job of every year, finding the guys that other people like, even if I don't, and then moving them later.
Yeah, I got to the Jaden Blue party late and was drafting him based solely off that because I don't think he's going to be a long-standing running back. I don't think he's this year's Bucky Irving, even though his sort of pathway opens up for that. I don't think he's that. But yet I do think that the moment he has a splash play and or is named the starter in Dallas or is thought to be maybe going to be the starter, the price will skyrocket because the whole
Yeah.
star on the helmet and the whole thing, that whole thing feels, I don't know, just it's a certain thing. You got to admit the Dallas thing
Oh
always
yeah.
has that, that ADV as you guys call it. There's no doubt about it. It just exists. So,
There's
I'm
and there's
I'm willing to take
there
him for that reason.
there's a reason for the hatred of Dallas is because they're shoved down your throat, right? You're like, oh,
Precisely.
Jesus. Oh, every Thanksgiving, oh, it's a 4 o'clock game. I guess I'm getting Dallas versus someone. I have to hear all about, and again, I have to hear all about Dallas when they haven't been relevant in the playoffs in years. Like, that's part of
Exactly.
like, it's like, dude, I'm so tired of hearing about Dallas. And there's also the fact that if you're a certain age like me, you watch Dallas kick your fucking ass, excuse me, for basically 2 decades. Just absolutely destroy you and smack you around. When Jimmy Johnson was there, the Eagles were basically irrelevant, completely irrelevant. And
True.
even
He
if they
was so
beat them in
dope.
the regular season, I remember Randall Cunningham getting his ass beat in the playoffs against them. I think it was Rodney Peete might have been playing. All I remember is Emmitt Smith running all over the Eagles for it seemed like my entire life. So the fact that they don't win Super Bowls now is just, it feels good, and I'd
It's
rather
very
not they ever
refreshing.
do
It's
that again.
very refreshing.
Dude, if
Yes.
they win again, I mean, their fans are so obnoxious. Can you the level of obnoxicity, not a word, that
No, that's
will
a word.
rise will be disgusting. It will be almost as bad as when the Eagles won.
Well, you did win one over me, and the greatest performance in a Super Bowl by a quarterback in a losing effort that there will ever be is
Yeah.
the Tom Brady performance in that game. Threw for 500 yards and like 6 touchdowns, like somehow lost. I don't understand it. It will be studied years down the road how we lost that game. Like people talk about like, oh, we got lucky in that game or the other. It's like I think he might have gotten unlucky in that game. Just gonna go out on a limb and say maybe he got unlucky in that particular game.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that was
yeah. I
incredible.
look, that was one of those that I hate those teams of destiny bullshit, right? But that's
It
kind of what
was
it
though,
was.
man.
Like
Yeah.
Nick Foles, even in his best season, when I think he had 27 touchdowns and like 2 interceptions or whatever ridiculous stat it was, never played that good. He
No.
was perfect in the playoffs, man. And in that game, he was perfect, and it just broke the right way for the
Yeah.
Eagles.
Yep,
Yep.
double perfect in that game. And on that note, we got to go. I got something I got to do. My daughter's in a play. I'm going to go watch it. Can't wait.
Nice.
I can't wait. Mr. Shane Manila, please do me a favor and tell everybody where they can find your content because we absolutely love it here at the Undroppables. We are fans of everything that you guys do. We're fans of you guys as people. We're so grateful that you're friends and we're grateful that you were on this show. So thank you very much, sir.
No, I appreciate you, dude. So at DDFFB on the YouTubes, me and Scott, not you, Scott Connor have a show, Mannequin Chill. I have a show, Shane Says. Jump on. Apparently, I've been jumping on some Saturdays, but not just me. Like if you listen for an hour and a half and you don't like me, cool. There's other people over there. Scott is a bona fide freaking genius at this game. And it's he definitely working with him over the last like 6 years has sharpened it and made me have to step my game up. But we got the Dynasty Theory guys over there too. We've got Ty DeClaire with our trade show. It's just there's content all day and night, any type that you like, and there's more coming. Might be another show coming down the road involving me and some other people, but not allowed to announce that yet. So shh. So check us out,
There's
and on
there's
the
stuff
Twitter.
coming.
Yeah,
Shane Says, you got to listen to that one. It's all good, man. Anything
yeah,
Shane, anything Scott Connor, anything Ray G, anything in their vortex is going to be a great product and something that's really for a real player to digest. I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much. And on behalf of everybody here at the Undroppables, on behalf of everybody here at the Undrafted, on behalf of the greatest podcast producer and Philadelphia native to ever walk the earth, Mr. Michael P. Duncan, you have been joined by the great Thrilla in Manila. I am Jax Falcone, and we are out.